Hi, it's Ronnie, and welcome to a Punched Out Thursday to Die For with Kathy, Kristin, myself, and Dorothy, and Rebecca and Sonia. And it's also Baby Got Scraps, a scrappy inspirational YouTube and Instagram hop. That's where you take one 12 by 12 paper and use scraps or a smaller paper pad. And I am going to be scrapping this picture of Luke, and it's from like the 1980s. This is like the third photo I printed of this. His hair, his hat, not his head, kept getting cut off, but I finally gave up. I was showing you that paisley folder, embossing folder, because several of the pieces I used it on when I after I die cut them out to add some embossing to the pieces of paper. And this first one that I'm using is from a Karin Bernstein die set, and it's one of those interactive cards. And then the second one, which is a little bit like the other one as far as part of the shape, is from that Sizzix die set. You will see me backing most of the pieces in that black cardstock because I wanted to distinguish one piece from another. So I was kind of pretending it was part of the decoration to have the black on the edge. Because y'all know when I do punch art, you have creative license to get extra creative and do something that may not really be in actuality how it should be, but it looks good on the scrapbook page. And I almost forgot my tea dye ink. Oh, and here I am punching. I punched out one shape and then I just cut a sliver of another and I'm making the edges not quite as pointed. And I'm going to ink it up really good too. And since it's a small skinny piece, I'm going to get my fingers pretty good. I'm going to go through two baby wipes trying to get some of the ink off. I don't get it all, but it makes me feel a little bit better to use them and get part of it off. I'm using my Tim Holtz scissors to cut the bottom part to be the same shape as that sliver that I cut out with the punch. And I'm using the tea dye ink to ink everything. And I wanted that rough edge from the scissors to blend in with the rest, so I used quite a bit of ink there. And this is part of the hammer. I cut the handle off, but I'm using the rest of it. And it's for the horn. And I might have liked it to be a little bit bigger or maybe even a little more rounded, but I tried a couple of other things and I decided this was the best one. I did like this better than the other two things I tried. I took the smallest banner in that cat scrappiness die set, and it is faux stitch dies, but I still embossed it after I cut it out so you can see it, the stitches, the faux stitching, if you look really close, but it's kind of hard with embossing. One thing about using scraps for your dies and your punches, they really come in handy. A lot of times they're just the right size that you need. I am punching out some little tiny black flowers here, and I had punched out brown ones, and I don't know why I punched out brown. I knew I wanted black, but I turned around and punched out the black. I can't talk. And I cut some slivers of the brown cardstock on my trimmer so that I could have them to hang down. And I'm going to put like 3 sets of them on my punch art piece. I'm sure most of you have guessed what my punch art piece is, but for those of you who haven't, it's supposed to be a saddle. And I thought I'd make it a little fancier than the one Luke has. Luke's is kind of on the plain Jane side, and it's a little kid's, so it's not very big. This is going to be big compared to his anyway in the picture. And it's going to be a show saddle. I think that's what they're called when they're all fancy with the leather tooling done on them, only it's really embossing, and all the little extra things hanging down to make it look pretty. But Yeah, I'm doing one in the front, and I'm using a little bit bigger flower. That little orange punch is gonna make it, and then I'm gonna put a center on top of it. But it's basically the same shape as the other one, only a little bit bigger. And I had to use my tweezers to pick up that little teeny tiny piece to put in the center. I used two pieces of my bow punch, and I'm going to put them together. And they are embossed, and I'm going to end up backing them in the black too. And it's going to be for the stirrup. If I call something by the wrong name, y'all let me know. I've had horses. I had three at one time, but it's been a while. It's been 20 years since I had horses. But see how the black makes the brown, everything in the browns, and the inking too, show up better if I didn't have a contrasting color, or in this case, just black. If I didn't have that besides the brown, it'd be hard to distinguish one part of this saddle from another part. And there's my almost finished saddle. I'm going to do one more thing with it, and then I will consider it finished. I seen this paper in the collection, and it's Echo Park. No, I think it's Cartabella. Anyway, I seen it to start with, and I thought that looks like a horse blanket. And that was, like when I got in the warehouse box sale ages ago. And so when I was making this saddle, I knew that paper was in there, and I thought, do I have any left? I don't remember. And yes, I did have. So I'm putting faux stitching around the edge of it, just because it is a blanket, and I wanted it to kind of go with the saddle and have a little more brown on it. But yeah, it's just going to hang down there behind the saddle. And I had to trim the top part so the seat of the saddle wouldn't have a blanket laying on it. Yeah, after doing this layout, I'm only going to have one more page to do in Luke's album. And the thing is, that's the picture he actually gave me to scrap. And well, this one and that one both, I was kind of stuck on because I was wanting to do a saddle, but I wasn't sure if I could figure out what I could use to make it. And it worked. And I finally just decided tonight that I was just going to go ahead and try it. And if it didn't work, I would make a hat instead. I knew I could do a hat. I'd done a hat before. So I thought, well, I will try the saddle. If all fails, I'll make a hat. And of course, yeah, I had to make a fence for the saddle to sit on. And I thought, well, I'll have 5 posts. And then, well, my saddle ended up a little too big for my 5 posts to sit out there like they should. So I'm going to leave one of the fence posts that I made off so that I've got room for the saddle. And I'm going to do some greenery, grass and stuff, weeds. And it's going to be different in the photos at the end because I did the layout, took the photos, came in here, uploaded and everything, and then I got to looking at it and I thought, boy, that grass is really uniform. I don't really want that uniform. So I went back in there and I didn't take the card with me so that I could record it. And all I did was clip a few off and move them in a couple other places so it won't be as uniform. For the weeds, well, the grass might be a little more uniform itself, but the part that's by each pole's taller and the weeds are taller. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different. Oh, and of course, too, I made the saddle and I had to have a lasso to go on the horn of the saddle. I had to add that one more little thing on there. And yeah, so the glue's drying so it'll stay in place. I matted my photo with some vanilla cardstock and then the wood grain because I'm going to kind of tuck it down in the fence. And I don't know if it's crooked for the photos or not, but while I was holding it a while ago, I thought, oh, the picture's crooked. Was it crooked when I took the photos? I didn't notice it. So I straightened it, but I kind of think it slipped a little because it looks kind of straight now. So I don't know, but it's straight. It's in real life, it's straight now. But I did cut out most of the grass making because it's kind of repetitive. And I did use my grass border punch after I got some of the little taller stuff put in around the fence. But yeah, I cut most of that out since the video was already getting long, and y'all have seen me do grass plenty times before. But yeah, I had the scrap, and well, it was good 12 inches long and maybe 3 inches wide. So I turned that grass every which way, the little weeds that's taller, to get it to fit on there, to get as many as I could get out of it. And I still got extra, but I had to save a little bit for the grass to grow by the fence post because I knew I wanted it taller there. Like they didn't use the weed eater. And these letters are Tim Holtz and they're resist. And on the back, it shows them using, it looked like black soot on it. So theirs shows up more than mine will, the resist part, but mine still shows up on the layout pretty good. It don't quite show up as good in the video, but it does on the layout because I put a lot of ink on there. And I almost said forget it and didn't use them because there's only one D in there. And I was making Giddy up. So I thought, well, okay, I'll use a P and turn it upside down. Have lowercase. Well, I forgot the up needed a P. So then I thought, what am I going to do? Well, there was 3 R's and they were all capital letters. Well, everything was capital letters. And so I cut part of it off and used it for the P for up. But yeah, I finally got it to work. Pulled this banner sticker off the sticker sheet and it just says out west, but I've got that bag of wood grain, wood veneer things, and adventure is in there. It's just that it's broke. So I'm going to glue it back together and then ink it some and put it on there so it'll be out west adventure. Aggie, there's a lot of stars in there. So I am going to end up putting some stars on here too. I'm only going to have 2 clusters, I guess you would call it. But I'm going to count the grass as my third. So, yeah, I'll have 3 and it'll be an odd number. Counting the grass. Well, I can count the fence too, as long as I'm counting. But I have noticed that when my wood veneer gets broke, that they go back together really good. Throw a little glue on them and kind of nestle the broken part in one piece into the other. And yeah, they go back together pretty good. And I'm not putting a whole lot of the tea dye ink on there, but I'm putting enough to get the edges and make them a little bit brown and not have it quite so stark and like raw wood, that it has some aging to it. I am just almost done with this layout. So be sure and check out down there below for all the gals doing Punched Out Thursday to Die For and see what they use today, if it's their dies or punches or both like I did. And there'll be the list of names of all the gals that's doing the Baby Got Scraps and see what they did with their scraps. But yeah, I made a saddle with my scraps and grass too. But yeah, check them out and see what all they did and find some inspiration down there and use your punches, dies, and scraps. But if you leave a comment below, I'll get back with you. And if you like the video and hit a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. If you are not subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe. And those of you already are, thank you so much. But have a happy, scrappy week. Take care and stay safe. Bye.